So Gamescom is now officially going. That is the massive video game convention in Germany that's held every year. And like every year, it is kicked off with Opening Night Live, this big video game reveal presentation thing hosted by, of course, Jeff Keighley. So, of course, like every various video game event thing that goes on throughout the years, I'm here to just kind of talk about some of the stuff I really like to see from this event, some cool game reveals and stuff, get you guys caught up to speed a little bit. And this isn't necessarily a critique of the event itself, a rating or anything. There are plenty of YouTubers that do that. Yes, I wish there was more gameplay. And yeah, of course, I would have loved to see Elder Scrolls 6 revealed or whatever, but there's still plenty of stuff that I like to see, so I just want to dive into it. The first thing is the DualSense controller that has been rumored for months now. The Pro controller version of a DualSense controller is official, and it's called the DualSense Edge. It's a wireless, fully featured PlayStation 5 controller with a lot of the things that you'd expect. It has all the regular DualSense features, but it has swappable stick tops, it has buttons on the back, it has the ability to map different control profiles and have those profiles saved on the controller and swap on the fly. There's stick sensitivity and adjustment stuff, and seemingly completely removable, swappable joysticks with these little tabs on the bottom, which is cool. What I do like about this controller is that it still kind of stuck very close to the design cues of the original PS5 DualSense controller. I like Pro controllers. I play on multiple platforms, so I have the Xbox Elite controller, and I'm probably going to dive into this one depending on the price. I hope they could do something about the battery life. We don't know about that yet. There's more info to be revealed. We don't know the price or availability yet, but I'll link the whole detailed PlayStation blog thing in the description. Also, I think it's worth talking about for a second, Sonic Frontiers trailer. They've reiterated once again that the game is coming this year, and I thought this was a pretty good trailer. It showed a bit more of the game, more environments, a bit more of the combat and the boss battles and stuff. Now, if you remember, I did do a video describing my impressions of the game after getting some hands-on with it. And what I saw here in this trailer is kind of similar to the gameplay style, a lot of the stuff I did in my small experience with like a beta version of the game. But just seeing more of it, seeing different types of bosses, different types of enemies, and just a little bit more style. I know it's an easy game to dunk on, and I've kind of held off completely dunking on it, and I do feel a little better after this trailer. But again, it is a trailer, it's just marketing, it's splash to rope you in, so maybe I got duped, I don't know. Hideo Kojima is making a podcast. That's the... Whoa. I don't really know what to say about that. I just hope it's weird and different and not your average podcast. What if it's just Joe Rogan, but Hideo Kojima? I'm gonna listen. I'm a sucker. It's gonna happen. Anyway, important stuff. Lies of P. So a lot of people just got to see this game for the first time, and hello, I've been telling you. I told you all like years ago when this game was first teased. I've been hyped from the beginning. I've talked about it a lot on the Game Ranks Friday show. This is essentially a Souls-like game where you're Pinocchio, and it's like dark and gritty Pinocchio with spooky environments and gore and weird monsters and awesome shit. And this trailer looks a little different than what we've gotten glimpses of before, you know, just because we're seeing more of it. But I'm still really into it, especially once it actually kicked to gameplay. You got to see some cool environments, flashes of lightning in the background of this dark city while the main character is fighting a robot steampunk thing. There's a lot of really cool boss designs here that absolutely blew me away. And the more and more that people are inspired by what From Software did with obviously their gameplay, but also their enemy designs and just the way things go down, I hope this like really kind of finds its way, translates itself over to other mediums. If anything, that aside, it just shows how video games are so special. You don't see things like this anywhere else. And thankfully now we know officially that it is coming in 2023. Along with that is Hogwarts Legacy. We got a very brief glimpse at it. I was actually not super into this. This was kind of focused on like a dungeon experience, more of like the dark, spooky stuff you're going to be fighting and doing. Dealt with some dark arts magic stuff. It was kind of short, and I like the whole big picture thing of just woohoo, running around Hogwarts. This was a little more nitty gritty. That's fine. I mean, it is good to know that it's going to have scarier elements. You know, skeletons confirmed. Always a good thing in video games. Also, the new Tales from the Borderlands got a release date, October 21st. I'm really excited for people because I know people are absolutely in love with the first one, so I feel like it had to at least get a mention. Also, Outlast Trials looks pretty crazy, looks pretty gross, looks pretty wild. That's going into a closed beta type thing towards the end of October. Kind of, I guess, really there is going to be a cooperative multiplayer emphasis, which I'm more of a single player guy, so I don't know. But just kind of seeing them go even more balls to to the walls here and just crazy, zany, gross out horror. I got some Condemned vibes here and there. Sure, I'll give it a shot. Also, along with that, Gotham Knights had a story-focused trailer where I've talked a lot in the past about this game and how I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm very nervous. I'm a diehard Batman and Bat Family person, so I'm gonna play it. But I don't know, some of the gameplay, I don't know. But hey, here with this story and what they kind of set up, it does seem kind of cool. The presentation, the characters, the enemy types, the bosses, just everything going on with this newer Gotham City they built is kind of checking a lot of the boxes for me. I still think it's weird that they made Dick Grayson and Jason Todd look like Gears of War characters, but still, I'm going to be giving it a shot, and seeing some other villains pop up was pretty nice, and I bet they probably have more up their sleeve. Who knows? Also, smaller games worth mentioning, Scars Above seems like a third-person shooter, kind of like exploration on this weird planet thing floating above Earth. Definitely a smaller experience, but something that seems pretty cool. Maybe even a little Returnal-like, but maybe not as super insane where I can't blink when I play that game. Maybe this is a little bit more chill. I don't know, but it is definitely the year of space game announcements, and I'm starting to get over it. But seeing this one, it actually perked my interest. Also worth noting, a smaller game, Phantom Hellcat. This caught my eye because it reminded me kind of like a Kena Bridge of Spirits type of thing, where it's very cinematic, very cool looking, some wild environments, but like actually a surprisingly good emphasis on combat, with combat that looks good, but also might be kind of challenging. The small glimpse we got here with a very cool design character seems like something I would give a shot. Hey, now briefly before I keep going, this video is sponsored by Outplayed. This is free game capture software that is really easy to use, but also really unique. Outplayed actually allows you to run it in the background, and instead of manually recording large chunks, it will automatically record special events and moments in supported games. You can have it record kills, assists, victories, anything you choose. And it's all easily laid out and organized and accessible on a timeline for you to edit and share on stuff like Discord and YouTube, social media, and all of it is nicely organized by game. It's really easy to use. It supports over 300 games, and new games are being added all the time. So go check it out. It's easy. Download Outplayed by clicking my link in the description down below. And thanks again to Outplayed for sponsoring my videos. Also, Dune Awakening. This had a really cool, as much as I want to see more gameplay of all these things, it had a cool cinematic reveal trailer, you know? Dune Awakening, like from the logo treatment to just like the design of certain things we saw in the trailer, is the Denis Villeneuve version of Dune, which is dope and very cool until the magic words hit open world survival MMO. I'm just over those. I feel like there's a lot of those. We even saw more than one during this presentation. It's like they just can't stop making these things. But in the Dune universe, could be kind of cool. Also worth noting, Funcom is involved, and I did have to play a lot of Conan Exiles for Game Ranks to make a video, and that game wasn't so bad. It at least had some cool ideas going on there, so, if they could take on something more sci-fi like Dune, I don't know. I'd be curious. More as a Dune fan, way less as a survival open world MMO fan. Also, Callisto Protocol gameplay, I gotta say, at this point, what more can I say about the game? It's coming out in December, and this is just like a game I'm into. This reminds me of PS3 360 games. Obviously, it is super duper Dead Space inspired, but the gameplay we got to see here just showed how nasty and gross the enemies were. They would spit things out. All of a sudden, little tentacle infections would come out of them. It seems like the enemies really do morph and transform. We got to see the player character use an enemy as a shield, and then the other enemy was shooting at your character, and they were hitting the shield and kind of like decomposing and tearing apart that enemy in front of you. That tech, that grossness, that deformity, that deformation rather, is really, really impressive, and I can't wait to just kind of mess around with that. We got to see the powers, we got to see a lot of gore. It's checking all the boxes, man. I know exactly what this game kind of is. Like, you can look at it and go, okay, it's like that. And that's totally fine for me. I'm going to play that. Also, Atlas Fallen. This is a 2023 game that had a lot of cinematics at the start, but then showed some gameplay, and it's from Deck 13. They made The Surge, so that's significant to me because I really love those games. The trailer seemed kind of generic. The only thing I was really into was the fact that they were using weapons like formed out of sand or something. But then again, when it kicked to the gameplay, I was like, oh, this seems like some cool big open world running around brute sword monster killing. I don't know. And also Under the Waves. This is by Parallel and Quantic Dream, so it doesn't seem like it's going to be a full Quantic Dream thing. Still, I like story-based games, and this looks a little bit more indie, a little bit more smaller experience, but kind of being an undersea person exploring and kind of like discovering memories of what was, because like essentially it looks like the real world is just completely submerged. Like it's kind of like looking at the Titanic underwater, but like a whole city, a whole civilization. That seems like a cool concept. Also, another one I really wish we got to see gameplay for, it's the Lords of the Fallen, because this is a pretty good cinematic teaser trailer thing. It takes a lot for me now. I usually fall asleep during these damn things, but some of the character designs with religious symbolism, with crowns of thorns, with spooky skeleton enemies that had like nails in their head that kind of made them look like Hellraiser, and just Danzig, pretty bold. Bold opinion by me. I think Glenn Danzig is only good in Misfits, but hey, anyway, what is interesting is that this is the Lords of the Fallen. This is another Lords of the Fallen game, which the first one, I never finished it. I kind of got it as like a Games with Gold or a PlayStation Plus thing. It was cool, but like this is making me second guess jumping into it, because this looks like this crazy reimagining where things just go way over the top and way more hellish. And I think that's good, because there are so many games out there that were like inspired by Dark Souls, all that stuff. Like they really need to start really branching out and going super unique. And if it's like this, cool. Dead Island 2. So I gotta say, if this didn't leak early, this would have been a bombshell announcement for me. Just like simply because the game was announced originally in like 2014, 2015. I said this in the Friday show, but like my first E3, I remember seeing like alpha prototype gameplay of this back when it was developed by a different studio. So now it's here, and it's very much Dead Island. It's another Dead Island. The gameplay that we got to see, which I'm glad we got to see it, is interesting. Does it look kind of like what I expect? Yeah, but like it looks pretty high quality. It looks like good zombie bashing and killing. The representation of Los Angeles does seem pretty good here. As someone who's been there quite a few times and been all up in them guts and the gross parts too, like I hope that they can really nail the feel of it. Still, it's just funny when you think about it. Like what place does Dead Island 2 have in the world now in 2022 or 2023, because it's releasing February 3rd, and it's going to have 6 playable characters. And, you know, I played Dead Island, and I was very hyped for that original cinematic trailer, which they did once again here. But I wasn't like super crazy about it or anything. It was fine. So I'm really hoping this one recognizes that and recognizes the landscape of zombies games now and can make something just really, really cool. And just seeing the emphasis on up-close zombies right in your face and cool combat killing, hopefully it's cool. We'll see. But speaking of, I don't know, we'll see. Let's talk about the biggest thing in the room, Everywhere. This is from Leslie Benzies heading up a new studio. Now, Leslie Benzies, for those of you that don't know, is one of the big guys behind Grand Theft Auto. Basically, it was like him and Sam and Dan Houser and a couple of other folks that were like the key people behind developing Grand Theft Auto and really like what Grand Theft Auto and Rockstar is today. So obviously with that clout, he can get funding to make something really crazy. And he's been working on this for a very long time. And this team has been working on it for a very long time. And we got such a brief glimpse, and it kind of confirms what we've kind of known a little bit. So there's going to be 2 different art styles in the game, seemingly almost like 2 different worlds, like a brighter, more colorful, stylized world and a more realistic, you know, video game graphics ass world. And we don't really know a lot. And unfortunately, what we got to hear at the presentation was just a lot of like buzzwords, dude. It sounded like an NFT metaverse convention where they very much wanted to create a world where players could form, like they could make their own adventures and do their own thing and, you know, take the community take over. Now, I personally really feel like it's really hard to set up a game to do that. That has to be earned, you know? There are games that have done it. They've made games specifically saying, oh, here, we're going to give this to the community and they're going to make it great. But a lot of times that has to naturally happen. Like that shit can't be forced. People have to get hooked and obsessed with a weird game and start doing things within it. And it's very interesting because they also talk about making a cinematic, real gameplay experience that you can get immersed in, because we got to see in this trailer snippets of like a real video game ass dude and cutscenes and explosions and mystery. And then we got snippets of like this open world Fortnite ass looking game with like cool trucks racing across a space environment, people jumping and platforming and shooting, and it was more colorful. So I want to know what the hell they're doing with this, just because it sounds so weird and out there. They said specifically on stage that it's like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, which essentially is like, yes, every game now is this online games as a service community game thing that's ongoing, but the fact that they also still want to make a regular old fun action open world adventure game with story and cutscenes, like, and the fact that there's 2 different art styles, like I really want to know what the hell is going on with that, because that's just weird. I don't know. I've never really heard of anything like that before. That's all we really got out of it for now, but after not really getting anything about it for so long, other than just rumblings and mumblings, if like you're deep in the industry like I try to be, I gotta hear more. They said next year is gonna be like when we're really gonna see it. Again, it could just be like weird vaporware scam stuff, or it could be something really crazy ambitious. I'm still going to give them the benefit of the doubt for now because I don't have to give them money yet. So we'll see in 2023. But for me, for Gamescom opening night live, those were the things I wanted to highlight. But I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Specifically, like, was there a game that you saw that now you're excited about, something you're looking forward to? Were you excited to see more Callisto Protocol gameplay? Was there something that wasn't announced that you were hoping you would see realistically? Let's talk about this stuff. I definitely want to hear from you guys. So thank you for clicking on this. You know, you could have clicked on a million other people being like, Gamescom sucks, or like whatever. Thank you for picking me. I appreciate you being here and listening to me yap. But that's it. I'm Jake Baldino. Thanks for being here. Subscribe because video games, pizza's on me.